good day, and welcome to the uncles, the four, I mean, from the uncles. From uncle. Well, actually, it's all the uncles combined because you know what? I've got a lot of different uncles. We all have got a lot of different uncles through the life that we've lived and where we've come from. I think I've lived long enough and I've traveled far enough in life and I've encountered enough people in life that I got a thing or two to say for those that need to hear it, for those that need some advice. Things I wished my uncle would have told me. Uh, other than my uncle teasing me and uh, my uncles, I had different uncles throughout my life. And anyways, enough about the uncles. It's all about the knowledge here, right? So I guess I'm the uncle status. I'm actually a dad too. I'm now even a grandfather. At my young age, I'm a grandfather. I have a grandson already. So yeah, I kind of have to know a thing or two about knowledge. So what this podcast is going to be about basically is there's a lot of indigenous teachings that'll be shared on here from time to time, and I'm going to have some guests, some very special guests that I'll be having on the podcast. And basically, this is a podcast that I'm sharing in regards to men's health and men's wellness. And the thing about a lot of our men, or a lot of men in general, including myself, I guess I was part of the flock, is that 97% of men, don't understand women for one thing, and there is a lot of young guys too out there that are trying to figure out what they want to do in life, where they want to go. Maybe I can be the one to save you some hardships and troubles along your way, and maybe let you know how I got through some of them. Um, yeah, I'm going to be promoting a lot of different things on here on the show, on the FU podcast. So it's basically about sharing teachings, sharing knowledge, sharing things I've been through. I've been through a lot of different things in my life, and I just want to come online and share them with you. Like everything from bad breakups. I'm sure that a lot of us have went through bad breakups in life, and they're no fun. They're no, they suck, you know. And many times I found myself going through a breakup with a partner, had me feeling down, right? And for the girl, it's so easy to move on, right? It's so easy for her to just like, wow, a guy's got to find his his mojo again, I guess. And or the other way around, maybe the guy leaves the girl, which is even worse, I guess, in a way because you get ostracized for it, you get ridiculed for it, and you get put down and hated on for it. And a woman does it, a guy tries to do that, it backfires, because I've been there. I've been there. I've been the guy to act like a, I guess it's acting like a woman, right? So I guess that's the difference between masculinity and femininity. And most guys, I'd have to say, don't understand that. I have friends, they're oblivious to it. I try to talk to them and they think they know it, but they don't really know how to be in their center. And I'm still trying to conquer that one too. Like I'm not saying I'm Mr. Rock, Dwayne Johnson here, or anything like that. The Rock is pretty well. Every man wants to be like a Rock or like the Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Well, maybe not the big muscles, but there's definitely some inspiration in what he does. He's part of the 5 a.m. club. Or the 4 a.m. club. I don't know. You get up early, right? The early bird gets the worm all the time. So if you ever want to achieve anything in life or do anything in life, the best way to attract success, females, anything, everything, is to find your purpose and your passion and always be on pursuit of that passion. And the fact that you're on pursuit, you may not be successful, and a girl's not gonna, like, she's not gonna want to be with you just based on your successes. No, it's the pursuit of your success and little pockets of sunshine along the way that happen while you're on your pursuit of your goals in life. You know, that's what attracts females. That's what attracts success. Success attracts more success. So, and it's true. When you're on your path in life, it happens that way. Like you're a success magnet because you're doing all the right things, right? But when you're not doing all the right things, what happens, man? You end up in a hole, man. You end up worse off than you were. A lot of our indigenous men, especially, end up in jail a lot of times, and you know the legal system's not too friendly to us indigenous men. I believe me, I've been there. I've been to jail. Um, Not very much in my adult years, but in my younger years, I did some time in Folsom. No, just kidding. It wasn't Folsom. I was the EYOC in Edmonton, the Edmonton Young Offender Center. I did about a month there, it seemed, but I think it was only 3 weeks. It seemed like a month. It was a long time. I'm glad I did the time and thought about things when I did, because I did everything in my power after that to maintain my freedom. And being in jail taught me about appreciating my freedom and what could I do with it, right? So I guess you know, like, you just gotta be you gotta have a mind about things, right? If you're a guy and you want, you know, like, for many years, I almost kind of got people to want to pity me for whatever given reason, like pity me and feel sorry for me and give me stuff, right? Give me some, right? So, feeling sorry for myself, oh, give me some. My life sucks, give me some. And for years, I would tell my pity potty stories, and people would praise me for those pity potty. Well, sorry to break it to you, friends, but that's beta male stuff. That's being a beta. That's not being in your essence. That's not being an alpha. You have to basically take life head on, face your fears, take on challenges, even when it's difficult and everything's against you, everyone's against you. You gotta push forward. And I've seen a lot of guys give up. A lot of guys, especially from the res. I've seen guys over the years. They come for a couple weeks. They do a program or whatever, and then they're like, "Oh, I miss my woman. I'm gonna go home." You know, or you know, I hate to. I'm not gonna say anyone specific, so I'm just saying that it happens a lot, and I've seen it a lot. It's like our men are, you know, they some of our men are really good fighters. Yeah, they've intimidated me out of a few fights here and there, but I'm not a fighter, you know. Uh, but I can throw down if I need to, right? If I need to throw down, you gotta defend yourself. Otherwise, it's, you know, what are you gonna let somebody kick your ass? That's no fun. And I do everything in my power to avoid those situations, but they do come up from time to time. You know, you could be driving in traffic and having a bad day, and someone else is having a bad day, and then all of a sudden somebody tries to come punch you out. It happens, man. You got to be able to be headstrong enough to block it out and not engage in it, right? Because if you engage in it, then it just makes it worse, right? Then you get an assault charge, whatever. It escalates. What I was taught from a young age is that when somebody does something to you, they're giving you their power. When somebody wrongs you, they're giving away their power to you. Now, if you respond to that, with an iron fist or whatever, then they've given you a little bit of their power to get a lot of your power back. So think about it. So when you're being, you got to be careful with your power, right? We all have power. We all have energy. Like pointing the finger, right? Pointing. That's got to, you can feel that, right? You can feel the energy when somebody's pointing at you, when somebody's like right in your face, or even not in your face. That's why indigenous people they don't point, right? They use their lips like this. They point. And that I know to be true. It is true. But it is energy though. It's energy. We all have energy. And if you point that energy in the right direction, good things will come. So if you use that energy though, if you feel into any negativity, that's why, I don't feed into haters. I used to think that people were arrogant for saying, "Oh, the haters, they hate, they gonna hate." And you always see it online, right? People be hating because I got it. Um, I don't even got it. Like, well, I guess I do got it and I don't got it. I'm not Kanye West. I'm not Joe Rogan or Elon Musk, but I'm me. So in my own way, yeah, I got it. Do people want to knock me down? Yeah, I've had people secretly try to um, sabotage me, or I've had people directly, like laterally, violently attack me in my comments, sometimes verbally, sometimes confront me in my face, and I never really feel into it. There's a reason why there's a delete button, an ignore button, a block button. So if anybody's going to make any threats to me, I'll just sit there and you know what? I'll ignore it and I'll just walk away. But the moment somebody like swings at me, then yeah, I got to do something. But if you're going to have a verbal fight, I'll just say, hey, you know what? You're being disrespectful to me and I really don't want to talk to you. And until you're ready to talk to me like a respectful, decent human being, then let's not have this conversation. Let's not do this because it's not in my best interest. I am trying to. Today's a new day, and I try to live it the best way that I can. And I'm not going to waste another minute of it arguing with anybody or fighting with anybody. So there you go. There's some free uncle advice there for you. If you ever need to, you ever feel the need to be in those type of situations, right? So the other thing I'm going to talk about on here is some health. Oh yeah, hey, did you guys know that if you guys are wondering, why does this guy have a New York Stock Exchange? Is he going to show us his portfolio? Well, I just might. Well, actually, this is really my portfolio, I guess. I'm an artist, um, entrepreneur, and I've been around the world and I've been some places. So this was a cool place that I got to visit. I got to actually ring or help ring the stock exchange, the end of the day bell. It was a very symbolic, significant moment. The late great Ralph Klein here is in the middle. He's actually the one that got to ring it, and I was just standing beside him and his wife and a couple of Mounties. Calgary Stampede. Yeah, Calgary Stampede really hooked me up in a big way, man. I got to travel all over the place, and I have these wonderful memories. I even got yeah, on the 17th day of June, 2005. So that's how you can tell I'm old AF and I got some knowledge to share with you guys. And that's why I'm doing this too. I I originally wanted to do this with as a group effort, but I think if you have too many heads on the dragon, it doesn't work, right? I think each man has to do their own thing, and you can collaborate, sure, and have other men come on your vessel or join you for a bit. But at the end of the day, you have to make your own vessel, right? You can't be a three-headed monster or, like a four-headed monster. However many, like so many people are afraid to go and do stuff on their own and trailblaze, make a path, right? So a lot of times I find myself alone as an artist because it's not that I don't get along with a lot of people, but I have those folks, I get along in different circles, but when it comes to my own projects and my own personal involvement in them, I have to pick and choose those, right? You have to pick and choose your battles in life and do the things you're passionate about and do the things you love. And actually, the things you love are the ones that you're going to pay for the most. That's what I've come to know. So you're like Tony Robbins says, right? You're going to suffer the most for the things that you love, even including the people you love. I've suffered so much because I've loved so much throughout my life, all my relatives. I've seen some of them pass away. I've seen some of them disown me as well throughout life, and that's just part of life, right? And but I just come to know that with living 43 years and being all over the damn place. It's taught me a lot, though. I'm really well traveled, and that's where I get a lot of my knowledge from. So, we're going to look at some books here. So, this one's called Being Well, Eating Well. So, it's a practical guide to sourcing and preparing cheap, nutritious food. Get away from processed food, fast food, and come over to the fresh side. That's their motto. And this book is it's just a simple little 40 pager, or no, it's actually a 60 pager. It even has some head, brain, or it has some like hand health. So it has some cool stuff in it. It's got head, brain, sinus. It basically shows all the organs on your hand, right? And maybe massaging it. I think that's what it's all about. I didn't read through all of it yet, but I didn't expect to see that. But oh, okay, it's got reflexology in it. So reflexology is a real thing, man. It's really like my gym trainer swears by it because I have like a kind of a gibbled foot on my one side from dancing all these years. Like I have an overstretched arch, so my fitness trainer recommends using a golf ball and rolling it on your tendons to loosen them up a little bit, stretch them out. And that's what I'm actually doing right now. I don't have the ball, but I'm stretching out my foot. It's getting kind of cold. Okay, so yeah, it's got all these tips in here. So I'm gonna share some of these as we go. Every man should know how to cook and take care of themselves. Like I know a lot of dudes that do that. One of my favorite dudes that does that is Gabe Sipes out of Kelowna. He's the eco whatever his title is, I can't remember. He's basically looks after all the growing, and he does it's biodynamic growing, and they're the largest organic winery in all Western Canada, and they're called Summerhill. So, anyways, my friend Gabe and his crew, they all like use natural stuff and natural not pesticides, but natural things to deter bugs and stuff like that. So understanding this stuff though is important. Like if you want to be a good uncle in the future, you got to know these things, right? If you're gonna live longer, because too many of our people are dying. That's what sucks in our indigenous community. Like there's too many young people. I've moved back to my community, Alexander First Nation, about 6 years ago. Man, I'd have to say, man, it got bad for a while, and on my end because a lot of my family members were involved in a lot of problems that they have on the reserve. There's a lot of addictions problems on the reserve. There's all kinds of problems still, and it seems like they're getting worse from generation to generation. There's a small group of people that do good, but in a way they kind of like frown upon people that are like messed up. Like in a way they kind of do frown upon them and judge. It's like, I'm good, and then you have people that are already feeling shitty about themselves, and it's called lateral violence in our communities. So that's the other thing that kind of keeps our people there, right? So they already feel shitty as it is, and then they just keep doing it, right? There's a lot of dietary issues, so that's why I think we should focus more on this, right? So eating well on practically nothing. There's a philosophy to it. There's, the world's healthiest foods: kale, garlic, onions, peppers, tomatoes, salt, pepper, oils, herbs, and spices. So there's I do a cooking show every week, right? So I do a lot of this stuff anyways. If you guys follow me on my Facebook, you'll see that I do a lot of this. I'll research it. But all these things are really important to know. It's way better when you can grow your own food and you can cook your own food because you know where it's coming from, right? There's empowerment in that. There's confidence in that. Processed foods. This is all simple stuff. So I think every guy, every young man should have one of those books. I recently joined the Good Life gym, and this is a really good book here. This is the founder of Good Life, David Michael, yeah, David Patchell Evans. Yeah, he's really good. That he started it, and he's got this book. It basically explains the whole good life philosophy and really what living a good life is exercising, man, giving yourself your best shot, becoming your best self, right? And even in the book, it's like it goes through the chapter themes are right on point too. It's like the simplicity of being fit. Well, the simplicity of being fit is you feel good, you look good, you're you're doing good for your health, you're prolonging your life. Like it's really simple. It's it's super simple almost that it's almost stupid. But it can be that way if you establish a routine, if you establish yourself as doing this consistent effort, right? We consistently have habits. Now, if you ever want to get rid of your habit or replace it, you got to replace that habit with something good, right? And discipline. It takes discipline. So I guess that's the not so simple part of the formula of the simplicity of being fit. So the other thing is too the simplicity of being happy. That one, you know, a lot of people struggle with that one. I've had family members, friends, girlfriends over the years not be happy and go into these mood swings, right? I think happiness is really a choice. That, that's it's really a choice that we all have to consciously make. Are we going to be happy? There's things in your diet. So we'll go back to the diet. There's things in your diet that affect your happiness, right? It's been proven in science that there's certain things that you eat in your diet. So if you eat shitty food, you're always going to have a shitty attitude. If you eat processed foods, people are worried about the COVID vaccine, but yet they eat all this processed crap food, and most of it's not good. It's all macronutrients. It's all chemicals. But yet you have people protesting the vaccine, which I don't get. I don't have anything against people that can't or won't take it, but it's just kind of hypocritical in the way that people eat shitty food, but yet they won't do stuff. So it's a Tony Robbins thing I found, and it's a quote that makes the most sense of this. And the quote goes, "People will do a lot more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure." So again, let me say that. That's a Tony Robbins quote, by the way. People will do a lot more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. So I guess that's where the saying comes from: no pain, no gain, right? If you want muscles on your arm, then I guess if you don't go through the pain of and the time of doing those repetitions back and forth, that commitment, going there every day. Guys with muscles, you guys know this. So it goes the same with everything and anything else, right? It doesn't mean do that to a girl though. It doesn't mean go chase a woman until you get her. No, attraction's not a choice. That's the other thing that I think more of us men need to understand, right? Is attraction's not a choice. It's in our DNA. It's in our anatomy. And whether you're, a heterosexual person or a bisexual or gay or I don't even know all the terms, and not even going to dive into that. But all I'm saying and stating is respect for the LGBTQ community, and so on and so forth. Attraction is not a choice, right? So really, you're attracted to certain individuals in your life, friends, uh, interests, romantic interests. There's all kinds of different things that we're attracted to, right? But I'm just kind of talking from from a masculine perspective because there's a lot of this feminine enforced energy out there. There's women's groups, there's women support groups, there's a lot of these things, right? But men's groups, I think we need more of that, and that's why I'm investing my time into this. That's why I'm going to put the effort into this because I've seen the benefits of doing stuff like this, not only in my circles, but in other circles too, because I follow other content creators out there like Dan Locke, Coach Corey Wayne, like just to mention a few. I've even checked out some of the female influencers. There's some really good ones out there that give advice and tips to men and women both, of all the sexes, right? All the races. It's all the same, right? It's a human experience, right? That we're sharing. So whether I'm talking res life, city life, international life, it's all the same. With we all kind of have different experiences, but in different ways or different contexts. So yeah, it's all about life's all about pressing forward and achieving as much as you can in this short life that we span. There we go. I'm rhyming again. I'm busting some rhymes. So throughout this book, it's basically almost a guideline for anybody that wants to achieve success or have a life transformation simply by exercising and then also reading books. Uh, there's this thing that is a big problem right now with technology. Technology is supposed to make our lives easier, right? There's studies to prove, though, that technology has actually made the population a little less smart because the memory, right? And the attention span is going down. The memory span, nobody remembers phone numbers anymore. I came from the era where you at least remembered 10 phone numbers. Now nobody barely remembers one. So that's what they call, they're calling it. There's another term also that it's calling from digital technology called digital dementia. So digital dementia is basically kind of causing mind problems within people because people are just too dependent on their devices all the time. When you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you do? You go to your device, right? A lot of people do that. I'm even guilty of that, but since I'm more aware of it, and that's why I'm telling it to you, there's a big difference that if you don't do it for the first hour when you wake up. So if you don't go on your device for the first hour, give yourself the first hour for you to do stuff for you. So what I would do, or what I've been doing, is I've been getting up, doing some push-ups, doing a little bit of reading, making some plans for the day, writing them down, getting my schedule straight, have a little bite to eat, make some coffee, have a little morning ritual first, and then I get to the device. Then I start doing some productivity and maybe a little bit of surfing here and there, but I try to keep that to a minimal and I try to use my device as a tool and not be a slave to it. Sometimes I get caught up though, like it's easy to get caught up in those algorithms and scrolling. So that's the stuff that you just kind of have to regulate yourself, right? You gotta self-discipline yourself not to do that, right? Even if your parents try to do that, I think, we have authoritative figures in our lives that tell us not to do those things, but that's what creates a little bit of friction and rebel moments, right? Like I see it all the time with parents and their kids. They take away their devices as punishment. They limit stuff, right? But this is the best investment though. Reading, do a little bit every day. It really helps. So yeah, this is a really good book. So if you become a member of Good Life, they'll give you one of these books for free. So it's really cool. Um, I brought another book here today. It's kind of another one of those duotang kind of books. It was actually made by Yellowhead Tribal Council, and it's kind of funny that I didn't even know it was from Yellowhead Tribal Council. I'm sitting here at Yellowhead Tribal College in Edmonton. This is where I'm broadcasting from today. They've been so kind here at the Learning Center, um, yeah, to lend me a space, and it's a really good space here. I like it. It's perfect. The acoustics are nice in here. Sound is great, and yeah, so props to the Literacy Center here in Edmonton. Anyways, this book they put together, it's really cool. So recipes and tips from Alberta's First Nations people. How cool is that, right? So anybody ever want to know how to do this stuff and why you do it? So in the summer when you go berry picking, it might take a couple days out of your schedule, but it'll last you a long time. It'll last you a couple months. So I guess we have contributors, all different elders and stuff that have contributed. So we got Slave Lake, St. Paul, and those are mostly Cree nations, but maybe there's some down south too. Okay, we got Calgary, we got the Blackfoots, and probably some Stonies and Métis. High level, you probably got some Denes and some Crees up there. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It's even got some of the elders' pictures in there. It's pretty awesome. It's a good book, and I imagine every community has one of these. So okay, so it's got uh, it's got some facts in there about food. I think everybody should know this about food. Food's really important because it'll mess you up if you get food poisoning. Here's the reason why, because people don't know this danger zone thing, right? They don't know what they don't know, and it hurts sometimes. So, how food poisoning works is if your food sits out too long. So, hot food is supposed to you're supposed to cook it to 74 degrees Celsius. I sound like a nerd. And then the holding temperature for hot food is 60 degrees Celsius. So, it has to hold that temperature until served. So, the serving window is maybe 5 to 15 minutes before bacteria starts to form. And every 5 minutes, that bacteria triples, quadruples, quintuples, whatever, it just multiplies and multiplies every 5 minutes to the power of 10. And that's really what happens. Now, cold food has to be stored at 4 degrees, or it's in between 4 degrees and zero. You don't want zero because it's going to freeze, right? Zero is freezing. So 4 degrees is recommended, 4 degrees Celsius that's the holding temperature for food in cold storage. There still is a little bit of bacteria, but what you want to do is you always cover the cold food, your vegetables, whatever, until you're ready to use them. Vegetables are not too bad. They do go bad like after a week in the fridge or so. Some last longer than others. But you want to kind of strategically plan that, like when you're in your apartment, you don't want to buy a bunch of food and then have it all go to waste. It's kind of better to schedule and plan your meals where you can like kind of yield like about a week's worth of meals off of like a bag of groceries, a bag of veggies, right? It's food management and food prep, and it's the same thing that you do if you're to be a line cook at a restaurant, right? You just prep food, get it ready. A lot of people don't do it though. That's why I pick quick meals. I eat out a lot, so I'm kind of lazy that way. I do cook though. I'm a really good cook, and I know all these things. So Basically, you gotta know at least some things about your food, like how to store it properly. Even traditional foods too, like smoking and drying foods. There's a process to it. You can do fish, you do salmon. It's all kind of the same. You have a small window to work with, but you want to get it under the smoke and the heat right away and salt it. So there's a lot of good tips in here. There's canning tips. It's always good to know how to can stuff, because you're creating your own food. You're gonna save some money, especially this day and age. Inflation is crazy right now. It's 7%. I'd say the best way to ensure that you have good food, especially up north, the northern communities, remote communities, the best thing we can do and we should start doing, especially as men and the community, everybody, we should definitely be growing more and more food. Create a greenhouse system. Create a greenhouse. It takes a little bit of effort, but it goes a long way. And I've been seeing greenhouses pop up everywhere, so I'm gonna put that out there more, man. Let's create some more greenhouses. Let's continue growing and catching our food and participating in that. I love wild food. I have moose meat all the time, deer meat. I love fish. I didn't get enough of it this year, so I've been just going to hot pot and have my own fish there. Yeah, it's pretty standard though. Salt curing, yeah, that's the oldest trick in the book, so everybody should know about salt curing. The best way to cure meat is you got to use salt and spices. You can add whatever you want. You can do some Montreal steak spice. You can add some curry if you want. You can add salt and pepper. Either way, the curing process is really important because it'll help maintain your food longer, and you can preserve it. Back in the day, our ancestors used to, specifically the Blackfoots and anybody that's lived on the prairie, they would make pemmican. What they would do is like they would make really, really dry meat, mix it with berries, crush it up, make balls of it, and then store it for the winter, right? And then in the winter time, when all the food was scarce, they pull out these huge pemmican balls and they would like boil it, and then it becomes a soup, I think. Yeah, I'd have to say they only started boiling it later on because they didn't really have pots and pans right away. I think our ancestors. But anyways, those uh, balls of like jerky and berries, they apparently would last a long time. It's a good way to preserve the food. And berries are also high in antioxidants. So there's a lot of cool things to know about it. Yeah. So that's why I do this show, and that's why I'm going to continue to do this. I'm going to bring on some special guests. I got some celebrity friends that will come on here eventually, as soon as I set them up. I have a lot of celebrity friends that I've met along the way, and I think it would be nice to have them on this podcast and to share more stuff, to share more knowledge, more uncle knowledge, because there's a lot of young people out there that don't know the answers, or maybe they're looking for answers, or maybe they're at the know-it-all phase. Every young guy goes through that, right? The know-it-all phase, and then eventually the humbling phase comes. Maybe, I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't always come. Some guys get lucky and they avoid it, but I think every man goes through a humbling phase. You go through the glory days of your youth, and you spend those years like you just won the lottery. And the most important thing you can do with those younger years is spend them wisely. I was foolish in my younger years when I should have paid more attention. I I probably would have been like a multi-millionaire by now if I would have took things seriously in my mid 20s. I guess I took it for granted that I was making good money and lived through two recessions and still made good money, and I would just spend it all the time. I would just buy myself stuff. I guess nowadays I'm a little frugal about buying stuff. Everything I buy now has to either make me money or it has to be something I need, like an investment. Like, believe me, I still have bills and stupid fines to pay and yeah, whatever else. And that's just collateral damage, I guess, for not being a perfect model citizen or having a limo driver to drive me around. I should just hire a goddamn limo driver because I'm paying like so much in fees and fines and gas and everything. It's almost cheaper nowadays to just hire an Uber driver and you never have to worry about that crap ever again. And rent a cars, like if you get in an accident, you know, it goes on your driving record and that sucks. So it's almost better to just get an Uber and as much as you can, or get a limo driver, personal driver. Get to the level where you don't even have to drive. You don't even have to be behind the wheel, and you're just chauffeured around. I think we should just stop driving so much altogether because climate change, man, we're contributing to global warming. There's all this unnecessary driving all the time. I only drive, me personally, like when I need to go to somewhere. Most times I'll walk. If it's like 2, 3 blocks, I'll walk. Even if it's longer, I would just rather walk because that counts as a little bit of exercise too, right? So you can add these little things up throughout the day, and they add up in a big way. They do add up to something. So instead of driving all the time, you can choose to ride a bike. Some dudes do that, right? I've seen them all a lot of times in the morning. The best time to work out is actually in the morning. I wish Tim Hortons would sponsor me. All right, I'm gonna put it out in the universe. Tim Hortons will sponsor me, or else somebody's gonna bring me a Timmy's every time I do my show. Or you can send me a Timmy's gift card. Yeah, or you can just hit that like button and subscribe and let me know what you think of this show. I'm definitely going to add a lot more to it in the future. I don't have any guests today because this is like kind of the icebreaker of it all. And I just wanted to share some uncle advice today, introduce myself, introduce the show, introduce some of the content, get the ball rolling because taking action is better than no action whatsoever. So any imperfect action is better than taking nothing at all. And that's the best way. Fake it till you make it, right? So eventually you figure it out. You can't just fake it all the way, but eventually it prompts you to learn more about it, to figure it out. Anything you do in life, right? So just always keep that in mind. Get enough knowledge to get you going, get enough inspiration. It's always 15% inspiration and 85% perspiration. Yeah, you gotta sweat for the things you want in life. That's why they call it sweat equity, right? People put that into their projects, they put that into their investments, right? But do enough people put that into themselves? I don't know. I can't say for sure, but from what I hear, there's a lot of dudes out there that don't put a lot of investment into themselves. So, yeah, I'll just leave it at that, and we'll get a little bit more specific next week. Uh, I'm hoping to have some guests on the show next week, a surprise celebrity guest, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So until next time, you guys, take care, stay safe, stay cool, have fun, and don't be a tug guy. And you heard it from Uncle. The FU podcast from the uncles. Knowledge and teachings, health and more. Hi, hi.